Well, the Brewers still in first place in the NL Central, disposing of the Cincinnati Reds once again. We'll get into that. Hey, the trading deadline is moving closer and closer. Who's going to be staying on this team? What's going to be going on with this team by next Tuesday? Got to be better make some moves. And the Atlanta Braves coming up this weekend. All that coming up. We got a special guest on tomorrow's show. I'll tell you about that a little bit later on as well. Here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Good to have you along here on a Thursday. Off day for the Milwaukee Brewers. Well-deserved for the Brewers. How about their dominance of the Cincinnati Reds? I mean, it's amazing. The Reds can't figure out. They're trying to talk positive over there. The positive for them is they're only a game and a half behind the Brewers, but they have just owned. The Brewers have just owned the Cincinnati Reds. It hasn't been pretty at times. Doesn't matter. When you chalk up a win in that left-hand column, add one more point to it, it's always a good thing. And the Brewers have been able to do that recently, and especially here in the month of July. Yes, we're still in July. Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. As always, you download us on our various apps, Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. We're all on all those major apps that have the podcast. We're the number one Brewers podcast out there because of you guys out there. I list all the possible ways to get this very show on my Twitter account, Chuck Freeman, Freimund. And of course, we're every day as well. Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Go to Locked On Brewers. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. I've been Chuck Freeman, longtime sports talk show host here in the state of Wisconsin. Work for AP. I do work on Channel 4 as well in Milwaukee. And I'll be on the Spectrum One roundtable a little bit later on tonight throughout the state. The Brewers just got them covered in the series with the Reds. And, for AP, I do both locker rooms, cover both locker rooms. And the Reds have been surprisingly optimistic. Now, I don't know if they're just BSing themselves, but the Brewers go out there one time after another and find a way to get it done. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, on Wednesday was Tyrone Taylor, who's just having an awful season, blasting a 2-run home run in the 7th inning because it was your typical 2023 Brewer game where zeros across the board, 0-0-0, games was zooming by. All right. And you're figuring what's going to go on, what's going to happen today with our favorite baseball team. Are they going to get to the bullpen and carry this a few more extra innings? Freddy Peralta was pitching great. They're going to waste another start from him. No, Tyrone Taylor hits that home run in the 7th inning. The Monasterio adds a tack-out run in the 8th inning, and the Brewers win 3-0. But how about Freddy, though? 6 innings, 13 Ks. He was talking after the game how he had everything working coming out of the bullpen. Everything. He said he talked to Contreras. He says he's got it all. He's got it all. Fastball Freddy had everything in his back pocket working for him, and he came out and he was striking out batter after batter. 13 Ks. And, yeah, for a while, I was like, all right, is that Ben Sheets record coming into play here from like 19 years ago? I want to say 2004 he did that, or 2003 maybe, that Sheets did that. One of those 2 years. It was my son's first baseball game, I remember. Sitting in that second deck and watching Sheets just mowing him down. And Peralta was doing that yesterday. Striking out every guy. Ellie De La Cruz, who I'll talk about here in a little bit, has really did nothing against the Brewers once again, amazingly. But, yeah, Peguero got the win because he came out of the 7th inning. And then Devin Williams, who also dominates the Reds, got a save chance. But, yeah, I mean, this game, Amazing from a couple of different angles again, because these games are all following the same pattern for the Milwaukee Brewers. Don't score a bunch of runs. Hang in there with their pitching. Put all the pressure on their pitching. I just don't know this form of winning baseball, if it's sustainable. I mean, can you really go on and win a pennant and, first of all, win your division? Luckily, they're in the worst division in baseball, which we've said, but is it possible to go on and continue to win with the kind of guys you've had in your batting order, in the spots you're putting in them? I mean, for half of the season now, save for a couple of injuries, you've had Jesse Winker. You've had Jesse Winker batting in the heart of your order, most times batting second and batting 199. Finally, and we're almost in August, Craig Counsell's decided, yeah, his role is going to be probably coming off the bench, or as he said, deeper in games. And he's given him a big chance. He's given Winker a big chance, okay? And now Winker's on the injured list, and we found out, too, why he'd been pinch hit in Tuesday's game, because he was on the injured list. But you're winning with Monasterio in the fifth place spot. Now, he didn't come up Tuesday. He popped out to end the game, but he delivered a tack-on run. He had 2 hits. He's batting .296. Abraham Toro is batting. Abraham Toro was called up, okay, with Winker on the injured list. He's the guy who was brought over here from Seattle in the Winker deal. Just not very good. Let's be honest, he's just not very good. They put him in the 6th hole and at first base. The Brewers are so weak at the first base spot. Abraham Toro, who's a third baseman, a second baseman, has to play first base at this team. Owen Miller later came in and replaced him at first base for defensive purposes. But Abraham Toro, this is where we say the Brewers need help. When Abraham Toro is playing first base for you and batting 6th. Again, no disrespect for him, but we're trying to win a pennant here. Okay. Tyrone Taylor got the start in his 159 batting average and hit home. Tyrone Taylor. The Brewers are beating the Reds with Tyrone Taylor batting 159, smashing a home run in the 7th inning. Bryce Terang, 2 more hits. I feel like Terang might be heating up a little bit. But you look at the bottom 3 in the order. Tyrone Taylor, 159. Bryce Terang, 204. Joey Weimer, 207. And still, the Brewers ranked 27th in baseball in batting average. And towards the bottom in a bunch of different other categories, they continue to win. Continue to defy the odds. They're not getting a lot of national publicity, and I get that. And it was funny to see Joey Votto kind of clap back at Chris Russo the other day on MLB Network, because apparently Russo said Votto and Greinke are in the Hall of Very Good, okay? And then Votto clap back is basically mocked Russo because they're in the small market. Greinke has been in a small market most of his career, and Votto has in Cincinnati, and that's why they're in the Hall of Very Good. But that may or may not be right, but I like the way that Votto kind of stood up for the small market guy right there. And Russo just took it. Go search down that clip. It's on Twitter. It's out there on there. But yeah, kind of clapping back at the big market guys, Mr. New Yorker. All right, we're going to talk. By the way, Ellie did not have a very good series. Dominic Contrano, who is from WTMJ, good work over there he does, noted on Twitter that since De La Cruz stole home a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday afternoon, remember when he stole second, third, and home? Since then, Contrano did the tally here. Ellie was 3 of 29. 3 for 29 against the Brewers with 2 home runs, 12 Ks. He did hit that long one on Monday night. 3 for 29, 12 Ks. The Brewers pretty much shut him down Yeah, 3 of 29. That is shutting somebody down completely. All right, when we come back, what to do with Frelick? I saw something else on Twitter about that. Where should they play him? The Brewers, who stays and who goes? We'll take a look at the standings. Can anybody really challenge the Milwaukee Brewers? And look ahead to the Braves as well coming up. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. We'll talk to you more about the platforms here in a little bit. A great new sponsor coming aboard here is Ibotta. Ibotta, picking up burgers and hot dogs for summer barbecue. You already know you're going to do it, so why not get cash back for it with Ibotta? It's officially summer, and the new season means you get some new clothes. Why not make it getting yourself some cash back, growing with each purchase with Ibotta? Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the promo code MLB when you register. What is Ibotta? Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce, personal care, pantry goods. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what when you are doing the purchasing. Either link your loyalty account, upload your receipt offer after you shop, and you're going to get cash back. It's very easy. You're going to go shopping. You're going to spend $200 with groceries, maybe $400, depending how your family is or how much you eat. Well, the average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. Man, that's at least a half a bag of groceries for a family, or a third the way things are going. Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners, again, $5 for trying Ibotta. Just go to the App Store, Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, and use the promo code MLB. Ibotta, IBOTTA, Google Play, App Store. Use the promo code MLB, and you are going to get cash back for your purchases. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you very much, everybody. All you everydayers out there for joining us here on Locked On Brewers. I really appreciate it. You know, you followed me on Twitter right there, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. The podcast platforms that we're on, Amazon, Google, Spotify. We're on all the major ones. Please, if there's a way on there, I'm sure there is, that you could download our app every day by getting alerted. You can download our show every day by getting alerted on that app. There's got to be alerts on there. They all have them where, you know, when Locked On Brewers, when we drop it, you'll get alerted, so you'll be able to catch it. A lot of people ran a lot of fans. Just went to 5 of the 6 games on this past homestand. The Brewers and Reds and the Braves before that ran into a lot of great fans who follow and watch this podcast. And they asked me too, if we're going to be doing this over the winter. Absolutely, we're going to be doing this over the winter. We're going to definitely be doing this over the winter because we got a lot of time once the season ends, but we got a long way to go between now and then. Ironically, somebody asked me as I was going to the locker room yesterday, hey, Chuck, you guys will be doing this over the winter? Yes, of course we're going to be doing this over the winter. You know, there's winter meetings, there's trades, there's moves, there's analysis and all that. Absolutely. Brewer baseball doesn't stop in October. It goes 365. We'll be talking Brewer baseball with you throughout the winter. That's a sure thing. But also, you can get our show on Locked On Brewers on YouTube. Just go to Locked On Brewers on the search, Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe, hit the like button there. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. All right. The Brewers in this division, they have a 1.5 lead. We're going to talk about that small lead right now. We're going to also talk about the Braves coming up this weekend. Atlanta coming here. And we're going to Atlanta. The Brewers hosted the Braves last weekend. So we'll talk about that. And, a couple of guys who you should replace in this lineup. All that and more coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Your boy Chuck Freeman here. Thanks you, everybody, for joining us here on Locked On Brewers on a Thursday. We're going to have a special guest coming up on Friday's show. We'll just say an old friend. We'll tell you about that at the end of the show here on Locked On Brewers. I saw this on the internet. And by the way, thank you, Craig Kelso, for putting Sal Frelick back in the lineup on Wednesday. You know, he didn't play against the left-hander on Tuesday, but he was right back in there, contributing to the win again. Let me find my box score. he could, I believe he walked later in the game and scored. I think he scored on that Monasterio base hit, if I don't recall. And of course, I cannot find my scorecard when I need it. And I was scoring the game yesterday, as I always do. We'll do something about that sometime down the road as well, scoring games at Brewer games, which I think is, I just think it's a habit. It's something it's a good thing to do. But anyway, and it keeps you involved in the game because it's easy to wander away from a baseball game, that's for sure. But Frelick came through and he was back in the lineup. But where should they put Frelick in the lineup? Now, I saw on there Brewers Fanatics. Brewers Fanatics website said, I didn't read the piece, but it said should Frelick back lead off. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I know it seems like a lot of pressure putting on a player, but they're putting him in the fourth in the lineup. He's not a fourth place hitter. I almost do not want to take Christian Yelich out. I mean, he's just been so good, especially the power he's had going to the opposite field. Going oppo, he's been great. Boy, do you mess up a good thing? But then again, you're talking about a lineup here that's not producing anyway. Would it serve him better by dropping him down in the order? You drop him down in the order so you get some ducks on the pond, because the bottom of the order, as I mentioned, those three guys who were at the bottom of the order yesterday, Turang and Weimer, God bless them, but they're not getting on base. They're not producing. Turang had 2 hits yesterday, but maybe they should think about moving Yelich down to the 3 hole. Since he's hot, get him in a productive spot or 2. You got him and Contreras batting 1-2 right now. But yeah, you hate to mess with Yelich, but he's a professional hitter. He shouldn't be where he's batting in the order. You got to find the best way to get him to produce. And I think maybe moving him into the heart of the order. And yeah, I'm with that. Maybe Frelick, who's been your cleanup hitter, maybe move him to the leadoff spot. I'd be good with that. Hustling a guy who gets on base. Yeah, I would love to see Frelick. That was a great suggestion there. Frelick at the top of the order. Going forward, I would be good at that. And I just said a little pressure. Well, I don't think the kid feels a lot of pressure. He's the second day in as a major leaguer. He was in the 4 hole. His first game, of course, he had the 3 hits. I don't think the kid feels a heck of a lot of pressure. He seems like he's pretty mentally tough. Put him in the leadoff spot. You have nothing to lose. Put him in the leadoff spot. Drop Yelich down to 3. Let him start producing some runs here. Some of these hits, let's put some guys on base for him. All right. The trading deadline is coming up in a couple of days. I was reading an article in the Journal Sentinel. I believe it was by Kurt Hogg. Might have been by Todd Rosiak. Both of those guys do great jobs. But one of the two in Thursday's paper talked about, we're talking with Matt Arnold about the possibility of moving guys. And Arnold's obviously not going to tip his hand. Says very busy. Now, I think the question is, some of these teams are they in the race or are they out of the race? Now, the Brewers determined last year that they were out of the race, so they did not make any moves other than trading Josh Hader. So they were sellers last year. The Brewers are definitely in. They're definitely in the race. They're not sellers, they're buyers. But with the expanded playoff format, those 3 wild card teams, all right, there's a lot of teams I think out there right now where a few years ago, where you had 1 or maybe 2 wild card teams, you had that third, and everybody thinks they have a shot at it. Although the Mets came out and said, "Wait, we don't have a shot at it." Basically, they said to add a bat would be foolish, according to their owner Steve Cohen. But yeah, some of these teams I think are probably waiting to the weekend. Someone asked me, tweeted at me and said, "Hey, the Brewers have not really gone out there and made a move, or as anybody. The Dodgers made a move last night." But I think 2 things. One is I think teams are still trying to decide, are we in or are we out? Because with the expanded playoffs, there are teams out there who might be thinking, well, let's give it the weekend. The second thing is the price for a CJ Cron at this point, or a Grichuk, or whomever is probably a little high. Okay. And maybe teams like the Rockies are trying to decide, okay, let's hold on to these guys until we get the best available offer. I'm sure that's what they're doing. But as we get closer to the trading deadline, okay, that price might start to drop a little bit because maybe a team doesn't get what it really wants from a player. Maybe they realize they're overvaluing their own player. Maybe for CJ Cron, they might want a few top prospects. A team like the Brewers says, no, wait, we'll wait to the deadline. Okay. Deadline comes. Colorado doesn't want to hold their guy. They want to get rid of him. So maybe you get him at a cheaper price. Because some of these teams who have players with expiring contracts, it doesn't do them any good if they're not in a pennant race to hold on to these guys. Does not do it. And then you wonder, like a team like the Padres or the Mets, are they going to get hot? Do they want to become sellers? Also, because they have talent. Those teams got talent to become hot. Do they just hold on a little bit? I don't know. But I think that's why you don't see a lot of moves made as of Thursday. Because teams are deciding whether they're in or out. And still the price for the sellers is still pretty high for some of these guys who are on the market. But what's going to happen here in the next couple of days, maybe in the weekend, one trade makes and another guy, and then maybe a team gets desperate. Maybe a team says, okay, or there's a bidding war for a player. That could happen as well. But there is no doubt, and I said this on yesterday's podcast, that the Brewers need to be buyers. And if you do not have your offense at first, third, or right field, okay, Frelick is playing right field, but if you got another right fielder and you move some people around, okay, Monasterio should not be your third baseman. And your first baseman does not, and Rowdy is hurt right now, but should not be Rowdy Tellez. Going into the postseason, Rowdy can come off the bench, just like Jesse Winker. Okay. Or in certain spots, you could play Rowdy. But Monasterio, Urias is not going to be part of this team for the rest of the season, I believe. I mean, just no production. How about Keston Hiura? Should he be a part of this team yet? That's been a question Brewers fans have for a long time. I'll give you a reason why he's not on this team. That's coming up next, and a quick look to the Braves series next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Your host, Chuck Freeman. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You everydayers out there, following us on the various platforms, Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and, of course, on YouTube. Download us. Go to Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button and hit that bell. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode, Monday through Friday. We drop short ones on weekends as well, so always be on alert for that. Was reading Adam McCalvy's piece from Brewers.com, our friend Adam McCalvy. And according to that piece, one of the reasons why Hiura could be still down in Nashville, even though he had another home run last night, is because his defense has probably gotten worse. It has gotten worse, actually. He was not very good up here defensively, and the Brewers pride themselves because this is the way they're winning, on pitching and defense. And adding Hiura, when he's gotten worse defensively, would not be good. Okay. Plus, there's some doubt, I think, if he hit major league pitching. Now, they may come to a choice where a point where there is no choice, that they may just bring him up here to try it. Maybe they try him at the DH spot. Okay. But defensively, according to this Adam McCalvy piece that I was reading last night, it could be that Hira's defense, since it's gotten worse, the Brewers do not want any part of that right now. But again, for a DH spot, that might be a different story. But again, is he going to come up here and flounder around and waste more at bats on that DH spot? We'll see what happens. I think maybe a decision on that can be made after the trading deadline. Let's see what you got here at the trading deadline. You got this division, a 1.5 lead on Cincinnati. The Cubs, even though they're on a little winning streak, they're like 6 games out. No, you always got to watch out for St. Louis, who's like 11 games out. Pittsburgh in last place. The Cardinals have threatened a couple of times, but I don't think they're going to be. Well, I just never going to count them out. The Reds being a game and a half out, off day on Thursday. They're in LA this weekend taking on the Dodgers. That's a good thing for us as Brewer fans. Brewers are in Atlanta taking on the Braves. That's not a good thing at all. The Brewers did drop 2 or 3 to the Braves, and the Braves just got swept in a 2-game series at Fenway Park against Boston. Boston, they're probably not going to the postseason. And they took 2 straight, including a come-from-behind game win on Wednesday. So the Brewers will line up like this. Now, as of right now, we do not know who's pitching for Atlanta. But for the Brewers, Hauser Friday, Tehran on Saturday, Ray on Sunday. Burns will miss the Braves once again. But you had to pick your poison there. Do you have Burns pitch against the Reds, or do you have him pitch against the Braves? I'm fine. I was good with him pitching against the Reds. So you can't complain about, somebody to say, how come we don't have him pitching against the Braves? He just pitched against the Reds 3 times here in the last couple of weeks. Hauser, Tehran, and Ray, Friday through Sunday. All right, boys. Joining us on the show tomorrow, Friday's show, my former on-air tag team partner, Mike Wickett. We'll talk to Mike Wickett, talk some Brewer baseball with him. That's coming up on the show on Friday. I'm Chuck Freeman. You've been watching and listening to Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.